months, we've been hearing about their revised sales tax, and now it's here. From imported food items like salmon and avocado to luxury bikes, the cost of non-essentials just went up.
What the government trying to say is that instead of taking avocado, you buy local food, you eat local food. You go and take pineapple juice, for instance, then we sell a lot. So those are the things, the alternative they have mentioned. But the fact is that government want to collect extra so-called taxes to cover the expenses. They have no choice.
The updated SST has kicked in. Find out all about it on Decimal Point. Since the Budget 2025 announcement last October, Malaysians have been gearing up for a higher sales tax on non-essentials. This is part of the government's plan to raise 5 billion ringgit a year. We've since heard that apples, oranges and even beauty salon services were taken off the list at the last minute. But still, how will this affect prices, profit margins and even small businesses? To help us unpack the 2025 tax reset, we're joined by the President of the SME Association of Malaysia. Dr. Chin, before we go into the topic at hand, could you tell us more about your background, as well as does SME Malaysia or SME Association of Malaysia represent all SMEs in the country?
For introduction, SME Association of Malaysia. Okay, we have a short acronym called SME Malaysia. Okay. We've been registered under ROS since 1995. So this is the 30th year of our establishment. And we have close to 17 branch association nationwide, and with some other smaller association. Not necessarily they are our branch or carry our names. They are related to SMEs industry. For instance, we have this food staff and toy distributor association. They are our members. Another example is ESG Association of Malaysia. They're dealing with ESG, but they join us as a member as well. And because you can see that SME is so broad range, and then all kind of business is involved, from small to big. And for us, having close to 15,000 members throughout the whole nation, because it's a company members, so it's not by individual. And you can see that there are close to 15,000 companies that is joining our members. So we know most of the businesses that's moving around, not solely only in Klang Valley, as well as the nationwide. So as from time to time, because we have very close relationship, we've been recognized by the government, and we sit in many of their committees. That we will, of course, we were consulted to a certain extent. We also represent not only the ministry, but various agencies, and we always give our viewpoint. And because of that, for along the years, we become the voice of the SMEs of Malaysia, which I believe they need one. In any country, the business people are also the key people to grow the economy and also help to balance up, the government and the opposition. So we are a constructive group of people who really face a problem without a problem. So for SME Association Malaysia, we have been there to help our members as well as the SME community of Malaysia.
I see. So if businesses have or run into any problems, so they come knocking at your door.
Yeah, they even come and ask us how to apply a loan, when they face a problem. And even when Along chase after them, they also come for help. So, association is like that. And then, of course, we have also regional, like say we have SME Sabah, for instance. SME Sabah is quite huge. They also sitting in various state council and also provide our views. And regionally, it may be different. The requirement in East Malaysia and the requirement in West Malaysia is different. But ultimate problem in business-wise is the same. For instance, now the current extended SST problem. Everybody faces the same thing.
Yes, that's true. And not only in the point of a business, but also as a consumer. We've already been paying this SST. Why is there a change or an update to the current SST, and why now?
I think the timing is the one that we are mostly complaining about, not me alone. I mean, most of the association and the business people was telling us, because you can see this year have been putting a lot of costs, not necessarily by the government, but also by the economy, to the SMEs and the business entrepreneur, right? You can see that from early of the year, we raised our minimum salary from 1,500 to 1,700, which is a very detrimental one, because imagine if you have a few hundred staff that you have to pay, and immediately you are paying 200 more, and it's not only those minimum go to 1,700. The rest who are paying 1,700, 1,900, you have to increase them. So this is already a big cost to the SMEs, and moreover coming to other like such as the stamp duties, right, diesel rationalization, as well as lately the electricity tariff increase, and now this extended SST. And also the timing is very, very important, because for us, we always go with the period. SME is always period. Period means that from time to time different business. And you can see some of them before Chinese New Year or before Raya, their business very good. After that, it went down. It's very seasonal. And for the past 6 months, I don't know because of what other factor, probably also due to the world economy or other fact, but the consumer spending has been dropping. The confidence of the economy are not so good. The index has been steady. So that brings us a lot of issue, right? Because if we're going to face so much cost, and now we're going to get another unknown cost back to us. Unknown means how much it will affect us. You would never know yet. So getting more information from my SST or even from the market, we found that the most difficult thing for us to absorb is this may cost us cash flow. Because imagine if you are having, especially on the rental and leasing, if you are renting offices or warehouse, I give example of warehouse. You rent a warehouse to provide warehousing services, and you don't own the warehouse all by yourself. You are regional places. And I can give an example of one of my members. He has to had to fork out additional of 50,000 ringgit a month.
50,000
a month.
Okay.
So imagine how could they fork out the money, right? And when you issue a tax invoice, within a month later you have to pay. You have to pay the government first, but you may not collect your money from your customer. So that cash flow will add up, not only on the rental increase, but as well as the collection, the tax you pay to, all this come into difficulty for them to decide what to do. So we are saying that as an SST, we know what is the intention. It's also in the last budget, but the timing is where we are all worried about how we can manage.
Okay, but before we go deeper into the latest updates of what kind of items are being taxed in the updated SST, I want to take a step back and talk about GST, which was scrapped a couple of years back. How is GST or the current updated SST different from GST?
I think these are two different systems altogether. Most businesses, in fact, we are very well versed with GST since they implemented ago. And it's proven GST is a much better system compared to SST.
With the updated SST in effect, many business owners are asking, do we need to register or risk facing penalties? Has the tax net expanded to include smaller players? How is GST or the current updated SST different from GST?
I think these are two different systems altogether. Most businesses, in fact, we are very well versed with GST since they implemented ago, right? And it's proven GST is a much better system compared to SST, much simpler, and then you can really have a easier collection for the government. That's number one. And also been accepted not only by many countries but also our minister, even Prime Minister say they understand this is a good system. It's only they have a different objective of having why the SST was there.
Okay, what's the objective?
The objective is they feel that those people are in the B40, M40 who is less earning, they shouldn't pay much taxes.
Okay.
Which I believe that is what their PMX have mentioned. But through the fact that if you extend the SST, at the end of the day, when the prices increase, you go back to the consumer, whether you're B40, M40. So it is a different approach, right? Now you don't feed it, but later you feed it. So, but overall, we all supported GST based on a very fundamental thing. The cost you cannot pass down with SST. For GST, you can, right? And especially for manufacturing. Manufacturing, we make ourselves less competitive if we have all this tax coming into us. You buy oranges, for instance, import oranges or even raw material for overseas. If you're going to pay SST, for instance, right, then your competition against other countries who manufacture the similar stuff, you lose out because you cannot pass down your costs. You can't say they are wrong or right, and it's all depend on how the economy will move forward from here.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we have to look at the brighter side of things, or how we can, or how this will benefit the nation in totality. And going back to the updated SST, what are the new changes or new updates for this SST?
I think the updates, the most detrimental one, the most affecting one is rental of the rental and leasing SST, as well as the logistic, right? And the rest are, the items are a lot. I also don't know, a few thousand items it seems they've been fall into the categories. But the major one is mainly targets towards non-essential good.
Okay.
Yeah, all non-essential good that they put in on. That is fine. It's only thing that whether you are affected or not is subject to your business. If you are importing orange and make orange juice, if orange you have a tax, SST, you have to pay for it, then your cost will get higher. That will affect you directly. For instance, avocado. Avocado drinks available in the market. Now you have to pay extra for it. And then the government say you can get from local, but you drink avocado, you can't get local. Probably some from Sabah, but the price is much higher than the avocado import. So that is where you have to wait at each individual businesses. But the more tougher one is, I mentioned earlier as well, is the rental. The rental SST 8% is pretty high.
And with all these rising costs, right, will that mean that businesses would have to absorb this impact, or would it be passed down to consumers? Or does it depend on what type of business you're doing?
Basically, I would say 90% or 95% they will pass down. There's no question of I'm going to hold the cost. Because at the moment, they are all thin margin. Competition is very great. In all sectors, SME especially. Right now, you can see that if I'm doing retail apparel, I'm not fighting with the competitor in the retail chain. I got to compete with the online store, e-marketplace. Right? And that is where, if you think of it, how could I immediately cover my costs, right, with the increase of my rental or whatsoever on the raw material, if there is. So from short 1 to 2 months or 3 months, most of them say we will wait and see. We will study our cash flow. We will see our outlet, how it perform. Then we decide whether to increase price or not. So they also are not sure. So it's too dangerous for them just increase their price and next day they see no customer coming. Yeah. So that's where the worries they have. And of course, if talking about retail trading, it's different. Retail F&B, that is another different story. They probably will increase immediately because they have no choice. Cost is there and they cannot run. Especially if you're in the mall, it's not cheap. They rent a place, right? And that is where it will definitely pass now. No question about it.
And because of this, right, would this mean that the business owners, is there more people that would need to register for SST? Has the tax net been expanded to include more people because of the updated SST?
So now it's on the rental and services. This is a new tax and the logistic. So the new tax, that if your income is more than $500,000, for instance, on the logistic side, you have to pay. For the rental, now they move up to $1 million. So $1 million, you're above $1 million, you have to, so-called register as a under SST to pay your taxes. So these are the things that mainly come out. I mean, for the item-wise, it's already there. What you need to do is additional cost for you to go and update your system, or getting your people to really make sure your system that you have to include all those items at the right percentage. Then you don't get being penalized or whatsoever. So those registration side is there already. I think except one thing, if I'm not mistaken, is the SaaS provider, the online platform provider from overseas company. They have to register if they are more than 500,000.
Let's just say, we have a business, and because of rising costs, is there a certain cost structure or strategy that businesses can use in their own advantage or towards their own advantage?
I think it's subject also to what kind of business are they in, right? For instance, warehousing. If you rent from people, it costs you more. So your tendency, probably you take a loan and buy your warehouse your own. Reduce your cost and then make your competitiveness higher. So it's subject to what business are they in. For instance, if you feel that avocado, you make avocado juice. Avocado juice now, you have to increase cost or price. Because we have the same factory, you have the same infrastructure, you can start the pineapple juice, a watermelon juice, so was one of others juice that doesn't affect by the standard SST. So you probably have to change and move your model, increase your product line or whatsoever to make yourself more competitive and more, widespread of your business.
And based on your expert opinion, what is the bigger picture for this SST expansion? Is there something that businesses should look at, when it comes to this implementation or this expansion of SST?
For any country, you have to collect taxes, right? So the bigger picture is that whether this taxes should be in this part or this portion, that is up to the government to do the study. They do a research, they found out that we can collect money from here, and without burden the people, without most of the people, general consumer, right? So this is how they are considered. But for the business people, it's different. Right? Whatever tax come to me is going to be a cost to me. In fact, for the past few years, number of students increase in Malaysia is a lot. If I'm not mistaken, there are more than 20,000, even more than the university students coming from China to study locally. So those part are big sum of money that government will be collected. But on the other side of it, if our cost getting higher, will they put their students somewhere else? It used to be very, very good, in terms of not only our education system, but provide a cheaper source of education in the higher education level for the student. When they come to study, there are a lot of service providers where they provide a second home. They provide registration of company. They provide services. Those are the things that they will probably benefit. If less of these people come, then they do less business. Yeah. And so there probably are some effect, but not too big. I will see that it's going to be cost a lot.
Now, in line with that, is the government able to help dampen the impact, especially for SMEs here in Malaysia?
I think what we really face is timing. The issue is about timing of getting paying so high, right? The 8%. I'm not saying you cannot charge eventually. Government need money to come in. Somewhere they have to find. But you come at this moment, and now it's only a few weeks later, you implement 1st July. There again, I mentioned many times, it will eat into our cash flow. Into our cash flow, you eat into our cost. Into our cost, you pass on the consumer. So that becomes a cycle. If gradually they do it for us, if we can absorb and find ways to increase our sales. For instance, we take 1 to 3 months to look at it. You charge me 8%, it's tough for me to react or make any changes. But if 2-3%, maybe I can still maintain. Some of the outlet that not doing well, I can do something else to improve so that I can even pay the rent and keep the outlet. And so I keep workers. I don't fire people. If not, if you will start closing down some of the store, then the people are going to run out of job. Right? So that is no good for the economy. So important thing is, if we can manage our cash flow, I believe most of the business people want to continue and doesn't want to increase any price. But if too harsh, too sudden of this implementation and they have to fork out some cash, that is where the major problem that they face nowadays. If they collect more, allocate more to help back the industry, to grow industry, especially on export promotion. We need to help our companies to go global.
Business businesses are facing a tough question. How would they manage rising costs without losing their customers? Should they absorb the impact or raise prices? What should businesses be considering?
What we want is more money to come and help us in terms of going through the difficult period. Right? In fact, we suggested that provide a short-term financing with a low interest. There are initiatives by the government for providing P2P financing. Right? You can get very fast, but that rate is very high. 18%, 18.5% max, or even you minimum you get probably 12%, which is very high for the SMEs to take the loan. Right? And we understand the government also trying to help with HAPP and CGC giving guarantee so that you do not have to put out your collateral to get the loan. Right? And they also quite good rate. And if they can extend that to a much easier process of getting the money, application is much easier, then it probably will help the many SME who are in the the midpoint of whether to decide go on or to close down. Yeah. Right? To expand the business, I believe the fund allocated is quite a lot, right? And how we're going to use it is all depend on the process of application sometimes. If too difficult for us to get it and too long a period to get it, it doesn't help. So these are the things that we need. You said allocation, they can allot some fund for us to help us on this financing capability, for instance. And as well, if for those things that they should do, instead of putting a lot of pressure on these taxes or whatever, if they got bigger allocation, if they can allocate out, we never know. If they collect more, allocate more to help back the industry, to grow industry, especially on export promotion. We need to help our companies to go global. Malaysia make product, must go global, must help. If not, you can see that so many products coming to Malaysia, so many competition, so many foreign investors coming. Not so much on the big one, the small one. Yeah. Right? There's a lot of hoo-ha on some foreign company coming here, do photography, do renovation. All those things affected SMEs. Yeah. But how could we cannot stop that 100%. But we can do our part to promote our company to make our economy better, but help them to grow, help become a global player. So this is where you can allocate more fund to do that way much better.
Yep, I actually agree to that because businesses have a lot of challenges to face, right? When it comes to funds, especially you mentioned also in terms of timing. But could this extension of SST be an indication for another change that might be happening in the near future? And how can businesses be ready for that? Do you foresee something else going to change later this year?
I think if they come add more, we all close shop already. So we hope that the government can plan to do that. Plan means forward thinking. Once you start doing this, you roughly will know how much you will collect to be collected. Then, even you want to implement the next collection, if you think it's not enough, at least let us get involved in your process of when you want to put it out, how much you want to put it, what kind of product you want to tax, add some more. You never know. Right? So, of course, the government are looking at the broader base, but at this juncture of time, a lot of SME are not that capable of moving along with more taxes, more costs. Right? Like this month, we started the tariff on the DMB energy. Until today, we still don't know how to calculate. It's still confusion, right? Time-based utility, all these charges coming in. So what I'm saying is that if this thing are going to implement, let us know clearly. We can understand how much you're going to spend for utilities, when. Rather than we are unclear, we don't know how much cost going to hit us, and especially petrol, around 95, rationalization going to come out. We are worried. I don't know what happened. Where should I spend all my money? I will reserve my money. Come out something to spark the economy. Maybe some good infrastructure project, big one, like the railway, the high-speed ERC or the high-speed rail, bring back. It probably will help a lot of economy, something like that.
Now, in line with that, because the government is also going to implement the EPF for foreign workers in October this year. Are you able, being the voice of SMEs, being able to somehow maybe delay this or to push it further or maybe to even remove it altogether for SMEs?
Looking at a cost like that, not only us, there are many other association we've been talking to, hoping that the government will delay it. In fact, we also wrote to them through a consortium of a group of association, because it's so much costs are going to involve from now, and unknown for the rest. But the known one, we know if it's going to come, for instance, the October 1st, it's going to come to 2%, you have no choice. Right, back to the history of this issue. We have been fighting this since day one, when they started to want to put in the EPF. Their rationalization is that we're supposed to pay 11%, now we only tax you 2%. So, but that's where the negotiations start. As SME Association, we have made our visit directly to Dato' Sri Amir Hamzah, and we bring this to him, personally, meeting him. And he was smiling, didn't want to announce whatever, we say, you should not pay for this. Why should we pay, right? Additional 2%. But it seems that decision has been made, okay? The 2% have to be paid. So what you can do now is to request that, because of all this external SST, all this, the 2%, can it be delayed? Because that money is not directly going to their pocket or the government pocket. It's just that some fund for them to keep there, for them to utilize. So if that, they can, be more leveraged, not imposing in October or move it to next year. At least our cash flow will be much better. So this is where we're hoping for.
At the end of the day, SST isn't just about collecting tax. It's about keeping the country running to help fund healthcare, education and infrastructure. Since only a small portion of Malaysians pay income tax, SST helps ensure that the responsibility is shared more evenly across the economy. As businesses and consumers adjust, stay informed on Decimal Point.